welcome to the heat. I haven't even started my training and I'm already sweating like I'm in a sauna, like not kidding at all. But today we're gonna do a workout with Indian clubs, also called Mukdar, and these sandbags that I have here that I'm sitting on. So I'm gonna show you one example of a workout that I will do with these ones, and it will be in a more of a circuit-based format. So I'm gonna do club exercise, back, club, back, switching between those. But I will not do it as intense as I would normally do, because I want to also give you guys some tips, explanations, and just overall some instructions on what I'm doing. But before, again, continuing here to the main workout, I'm going to show you a warm-up that I will do for my shoulders to prepare them to swing these relatively heavy about 5 kilo clubs. So because the clubs involve a lot of different type of shoulder movements like so, I'm going to warm up my shoulders, prepare them with similar type of movements, but just not utilizing any kind of resistance, no weights, no clubs. So if you can remember, for example, the workout that I did about the calisthenics and these pull-ups, it was more of a controlled and very like squeezing based warm-up routine that we did. So because that is precisely the type of contractions that I want to have during the pull-ups, because these are more dynamic exercises which contain a lot of swinging, my warm-up will also resemble that. So I will kind of apply the warm-up or adjust the warm-up based on the actual workout that I'm doing. So I'm going to start with this type of outside shoulder circles. So like here, and I will do both arms. So big circle, and I call outside because it travels from here to the out. So out, 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 out. And I will do both arms like this way. And I won't do it because I could do it very quickly and more or less just swing like this way, but I will start with a bit more slow, a little bit more controlled variation. You want to be in a good stable stance, large motion, very large circular motion. And when you're doing it a little bit more controlled, you may notice that, one of the reasons why I'm doing this in the first place is that this kind of raise here is very uncommon for people to train. You may be training front raise, the lateral raise, rear delt raise, but you're not training the, let's say, negative side raise, or when this is arm is abducted, now it's adducted. So we don't usually train shoulder raises when the arm is adducted. You could just be training this one, by the way. And I've noticed that there are can easily be also some weaknesses there in terms of the shoulder. So when I'm doing this, I'm actually training that adducted shoulder flexion articulation. I'm doing it a bit more dynamic manner. But you can do this easily for maybe 30 seconds or count 30 repetitions, just so you feel some blood flow, you feel some warmth. You start to feel good in your shoulders. If they didn't move softly in the first place, this should help a lot. You can be even a little bit lower. This is more like a Kung Fu Qigong based way of training. You're also warming up your thighs, your quadriceps. And then you can go faster, like so. For instance, in the Qigong we have an exercise which is very, very similar, but instead of the arms going to the opposite directions, they go to the same directions. They are circling in the same direction, and you're going to be sitting in the horse stance. There's a slight weight shift, and this is one of the movements that we do in the Grand Circle course that we have, teaching much more advanced Qigong methods and energy circulation. The next one that I will be doing here is actually also martial arts based movement. Comes from the Tai Chi or wushu actually, wushu, maybe even tai chi as well. And it's the flying dagger. We use this exercise in the skill master, where we are learning different type of bodyweight skills, because in this one there is more skill involved and might be quite difficult for you to try to copy this movement. But don't worry, if this is a little bit difficult to do, you can do very normal shoulder circles like this way. And there you go, forwards or backwards. But I really like to utilize this one. You also get the core involved, the obliques. I can use the hips to an extent. There. And then we have an exercise which very much also resembles one of the exercises that we're going to be doing with the clubs, which is the inside shoulder swings. So I'm going to bend my arms from the elbow, and then I'm going to do circles like this way. And what I just realized is I didn't even plan this, but this is also very much martial arts based. It's actually in monkey kung fu. We have this kind of movement. What this thing was called? It was called monkey washes his face. This is a protective movement. If someone throws you punches, you can try to block like this way. This isn't the same, this warm-up movement, but it's a little bit similar, though we are making much larger range of motion here. So, shoulder circles like this way, and you can also do the other side. And you want to kind of try to more or less keep your forearm vertical here. Of course, what it naturally does, it bends a little bit, but it is not like this way. So I'm always trying to keep it, the fingers pointing somewhere more higher up than horizontally. As you can see, opening. Here also important, when I'm doing this, I'm again trying to activate my serratus muscle. That is important when you're really like doing these flowing circles with the club. This area here is supporting, so your shoulder blade doesn't somehow collapse or drop forward or anything like that happen. So these are the three different drills. We have this one. We have the flying daggers or the shoulder circles. And then we have these elbow circles here. So you do those, you should feel very, very much more loose in your shoulder girdle, warmed up, and just much more prepared to then move on to the actual club swinging exercises. So the first exercise that I will be doing is this double, or it's actually alternating front swings with the club. So the front swing means that I'm swinging here in front of my body. We'll see what happens, because my grip is also so sweaty that it's much more difficult to even grip this. But seems to be holding just fine now. But anyway, like you can see, front swing, I can swing either towards my body or away from my body. These are both front swings, inside and outside, like so. So alternating, what I'm going to be doing is one and the other, one and the other. And here, keep a look at that. It's really it's like drenched here. But something that I really want you to understand about the clubs before we actually even do this proper exercise here is that, because first time when I saw people doing, usually it's it's people from the Indian origin, like Indian ethnicity, and people are swinging these clubs. It's very, very difficult to see like what is this exercise actually doing. And when I was seeing that in the very first times, I didn't pay much attention to it really, because for me, for my eyes, okay, people are swinging clubs, so what? But when I first tried this myself, it was in like after 10 seconds it was evident that this training is effective. Because if I'm just, let's say, so usually this is the swing that, like this is a very traditional shoulder swing. We have the inside and then we have this outside here. Like even doing just this motion or going here, circulating, or going to the other direction. Like people doing this, you look at, oh, it's just like this flowing, swinging with very little effort. But it works, the grip, like amazingly well. This does not hold here by itself. You need to utilize your muscles in your forearms, in your grip, like all the way throughout here, your forearm flexors, all these extensor muscles to really hold it and stabilize that club. And the thing about it is that when you add the second club, it becomes much more difficult. And I start to first think about it, why does this actually happen? And because if I'm swinging this club here, like so, and then I take this away, it feels much easier. And I feel like it must be, the reason for that is because to hold this here, even isometrically, I need to use so much of my nervous system and actually my energy, both from my core and also from my arm and from the shoulder to hold it here, that it's like, you know, the energy bar that you have. You can imagine having this imaginable energy bar somewhere, like a life bar in a Tekken like video game. Usually if it would go like gradually, slowly, you know, you lose the energy, you get the fatigue setting in, lactic acid. When you're utilizing double clubs, it's more like bzzz, you can like feel it in real time, decreasing all that energy that you have. So this is why double club exercises are much more difficult, even though you would basically be doing the same simple movement as you would with just a single club. So with that said, I think I'm gonna do 10 swings per arm here. First to the outside, and then 10 inside with both arms. So in together that would be 40 swings. It is really insane. Okay, let's go. I even lost my count actually there at some point, but I think what I did was 30 times I did the outside and then the last 10 I did here. It's not that much of a, it doesn't make a big difference on really the muscular feeling, you know, whether I would do all into the same direction or not, is still the burn in my arms and the lactic acid really sets in, like my arms are completely, forearms are completely pumped. So then, without further waiting, I'm gonna carry the sandbag. So I'm gonna utilize this cable grip here. Either way, in Iron King method, we have plenty more grips to utilize and strengthen. But for now, I'm gonna just utilize this one. I'm gonna go here. one more time. I think the back carry is really great exercise to add into this kind of a circuit. It allows a little bit of the arms for sure to rest, for example my forearms, but you get to work pretty much your entire body, because holding the back here, even if I wouldn't walk, I'm working my body, I'm working my spinal muscles, I'm working my abdominal muscles to maintain that good stable torso, to really support the weight of the back here. And you know, the back is trying to pull me forward, so I also need to really utilize my muscles, engage and actively the glutes, you know, the hamstrings, all the way, you know, even from my feet, to keep that upright posture. And then of course squeeze with my hands, utilize a little bit even the chest to keep that back also stable and not moving, not fluctuating anywhere, keeping it in a good position. Regards to the sandbag, you know, you can see that this is not a very long distance. So even if you're at your home or wherever you are, you don't have a long distance, you can just go back and forth, it doesn't matter, even if it's just even much less than this, you know, you just need to go enough time. And in the end, you could just be, also if you have a not much distance, you can take slower steps, because ultimately it's not about the distance really, it's about the time under the tension also in these exercises, even though they're not traditional bodybuilding exercises. But if I would like go really fast, walk this here, like on top of that, I'm not carrying the back for a very long time. So remember that you can adjust these different variables, the time, distance, and also your walking pace to get a good stimulus into your body. Okay, next. Next we're gonna do this clean and forward press with these clubs. It's easier to see sideways like so. So clean is this. I clean them here in front of my body, and then I do a forward press, boom, and they drop. And I do this quite dynamically, so I'm not trying to hold the weight in that press position. I just bam, and let them go. So in this one, it's the same also. You're creating a lot of forces with your forces that really go into that palm area. You know, you need to grip it. The centrifugal forces try to, you know, make that club fly from your arms. So you need to squeeze it properly. You need to hold your core in position, so you're not trying like waving or collapsing or losing your posture, your composure. So holding there, and then even that explosive push, again, the clubs go in a very, very far trajectory and gonna challenge again your stability. So very, very functional training. Hard to say how many reps I will do. I will maybe try to aim for 20, but at this point I can see like I need to try to feel really the sweat in my palms, because I don't want this to go flying into the wall over there. So let's go. I'm gonna do first try this sideways and maybe then forward. And you can also keep a staggered stance here. I can see. Switch. Let's go the other side. It's almost sleeping. I got one more. thought I had it. Yeah, the reason why this is the club that is flying is not only because it's my left arm, but one of the clubs is it's almost at least 500 grams heavier. This is like natural wood and it does change in the weight a little bit from time to time. So it's a bit more challenging. It really, I feel like I'm doing almost like double the work in certain times because it's like having grease in your hands. Like it's probably obvious, you know, if you try to handle something with sweaty arms, but the effectiveness is there. You might be wondering why am I even utilizing this sort of clubs, and I think probably, or let's say compared to dumbbells, barbells, you know, this traditional training equipment. And it's not that I don't use those or I have something against them, but this is a very different type of tools and there are unique benefits. And this is something I've been explaining many times. You know, just look at the shape of this. No dumbbell has this kind of shape which has an uneven weight distribution. And in the beginning, this is not even what I started with. I started my training with this steel mace, which looks very different to this, but it's a lever. Same as this one, they both have a lever and they have a weight. And the weight is distributed in an uneven manner. It's not so that you will have, when you grab it, the weight is going to be divided equally in both sides, like in dumbbells or usually in barbells. So this is made specifically for the swing practices, although I can utilize it, for example, this way, or do like hammer curls. I can do also presses with these ones, if of course if you want to, but these are created for this type of swinging exercise that you've already seen me do here, and something that is impossible to replicate with other tools. Of course, you can make different type of like plastic or iron or steel versions, but any kind of material it will have this kind of a shape that allows swinging, and which create this lever effect through which it increases a lot of those torque forces going into your body. And that enables that training of that really those forearm muscles here, like to an extent that I cannot get with any kind of other tools. I can tell you that even with the dumbbell barbells, if you do like heavy rows or cable rows, pull-ups, you will work your grip. There's no doubt about that. And you know, before I ever did training with these, I also got sometimes like I could really feel a good sensation of fatigue, like my muscles were working when just gripping like this way. But it's not the same. It's just not the same kind of grip effect that you get with these tools, which challenge your grip in so many different angles. And there's also this vertical pulling element. A barbell or dumbbell is not trying to slip from your grip like this way. This will try to do that. It tries to break it in this way through like a more, let's say, horizontal grip, also in this vertical format. And then you have also the different, like this radial deviation. You have here, what is this ulnar deviation? When it tries to drop there, the rotation is stimulated with the club. So I've talked about this in some videos before that, but I'm sure there are people who probably haven't watched this, that really there are so many unique benefits towards the grip, and this is the biggest reason why I'm utilizing this. And after I noticed the grip benefits, I did notice also benefits just to the core stability, swinging it here, and I noticed a big benefit in just being able to maintain a good composed core, because in the beginning my body was like trying to go with the clubs and it was trying to go with the mace. Like when I did this, I was swinging, my knees were buckling, I had really hard time like swinging it, and then I refined until I really got a good solid core connection also in these movements. And the other factor is that there is thousands of exercises probably that you can do with this. A lot of people think that you figure out the 360-degree swing and that's all you do. There is multiple flow swings, multiple strength exercises, multiple dynamic swinging exercises that you can utilize with this. Isolation exercises, like very isolated strength exercises, muscle building exercises, like so many different, so much variation. That is also something that I really love about the maces and the clubs. So those are some of the reasons but the biggest of them all, really the functional grip benefits. And why do I even want the big grip? Well, the grip affects almost every training you do, even regular bodybuilding training, any exercise where you need to grip, you can improve it when you learn to grip these clubs. Same way for martial arts, any kind of sport, if you're training, like where you need to grab a bat, any kind of rackets, bats you need to grip, you will have a better success in that. But for me personally, in martial arts, mixed martial arts, MMA, grappling situation, wrestling situation, it helps tremendously. So those are one of the biggest reasons. Then I think I've finished with these ones, and it's time for the back carry. So as I already explained, normally I wouldn't be explaining and resting here. It's supposed to be more an intense training, but you get the idea from here. There's like an actual puddle where I'm standing here. I'm gonna switch the grip. I will still carry a little bit. Something that's also, you know, not always noticed when training like this way is even the breathing is challenged. So it is a form of strength endurance based cardio. The longer you hold it, the more it really challenges also your lungs. And because it's also pressing against my stomach, against my diaphragm, the breathing is more difficult because of that as well. And I need to kind of learn to breathe into the shield. Also very useful for martial artists. You know, this concept of breathing into the shield means that sometimes, you know, if you're in grappling, in jiu-jitsu for example, you're in the bottom position, someone is on top of you, maybe knee on the belly. You cannot keep a completely soft stomach and just breathe like you would have a nap. You have to keep some sort of tension in your stomach. And you still need to be able to breathe this kind of 360-degree expansion through your diaphragm. So learning to breathe even under pressure is also a very good skill that I think you are to an extent developing this. And I really must emphasize the longer durations are also with this one. Of course you need to listen to your own body and see like where are your limits and where is your capacity, but you want to go really to the point where you feel tiredness, you feel some shaking, you feel a little bit of anxious even when you're carrying that back. Like that is a good meter, like let's say parameter in your own head. Like if you're not counting steps, distance, time or anything, just at least wait and do the have perseverance until you start to feel a very clear impact in your body. Don't give up between you get that stimulus. You want to have that. Okay, I'm gonna wipe some of the sweat and then I'm gonna do the last swinging exercise here. Now, this one's gonna be the more traditional one, so that you may, if you've ever seen some Indian people do this exercise, we're doing this shoulder swing, inside swing. So we have this is outside and then we have inside. So I'm gonna try to do 20 now. Gonna go more. Ooh. that burn is very familiar. So I noticed this with this one I was able to keep the grip a little bit better. I did 50 in total, 50 repetitions. So a good finisher for this workout. Now normally, if you could do even the second round if you want, just complete all the exercises. Again, one set, one set, one set, one set, one set, and so on. Okay, let's do one last carry. And by the way, I think I never mentioned this is a 100-pound bag. So 100 pounds is like 45 kilos. And I suppose there are a lot of people who are, okay, well, I deadlift 45 kilos every single other day. But when you're carrying a sandbag, the weight, how it's shaped, how it's distributed, and how loose it is, I will say that it makes it feel much, much heavier. And because you can't grip it in the most comfortable manner. And all the weight is really like hanging like an extra belly in front of you. So you can really think of it, you know, grabbing another person. It's, if you need to grab someone in wrestling or MMA, you would grab them very often times with a cable grip, and you will squeeze them here, so you can, for example, do different type of throws, like over your knee there, or maybe just raise them up and slam them to the floor. This is very transferable. Like, I can't think of anything that would be more transferable for the wrestling purposes or in MMA wrestling purposes. Okay, I think that's it. So what I think is very interesting is that I didn't do a single hip hinge. My back was in no position was I in, or in horizontal manner. We would normally think that, okay, now you're training your back. But my erector spinae throughout the length, like all the way here, the more like upper areas from the lower, especially the middle area, is like really fired up. Like all the muscles, I can feel that it has contracted. It feels like quite strong actually after doing that. So that is also one of the benefits, because just a long duration postural maintenance when you're carrying that back, like fantastic training. So all in all, the functional benefits from here regards to the grip, the body mechanics of the kinetic chain, the core stability, the endurance of the posture, like all of this is so functional. And this is the reason, this is like the number one reason that I'm really utilizing these. I just noticed them through my own experience how good they were, how useful they were. Other than that, I hope this give you an idea. You know, these are foreign tools for many people. Maybe you have no idea how to start with them, so you can see that it can be fairly simple, doing different type of swinging mechanics. Back carry, I just showed you one, but there's also dozens and dozens of exercises that you can do to carry the back, do also squats, deadlifts and rows, and all kinds of exercises with that one. This is all that we cover in the iron king method that we have. I'll try to really put there all the, let's say, more traditional, like a really exercise that have a long history also with the clubs and the sandbag, but there's a lot of exercise that we've just come up with ourselves, being inventive, and due to our own profession, due to the challenges that we face with different our clients, with ourselves in the performance situations in the MMA and martial arts. This is something that really pushes me and also Samuli to figure out ways to develop our body better. And one of the responses, more recent responses, has been the training with the clubs and the sandbags that has been proven to be enormously effective. Like I can feel my body is like just, you know, we call it the iron body for no reason, because you really develop some solid strength and functional performance in that. So I hope you enjoyed this. You got some good tips out of it. I'd love to hear your comments about this type of training. If you tried it, what are your experiences with clubs and maces? Where do you feel that the most? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, stay strong, guys. Ooh.